it's John of JWH Millinery and welcome back to my channel. If you're here to watch millinery tutorials and millinery news and millinery things and everything millinery, then make sure you subscribe to this channel using the button down below and hit that notification bell to be notified when we release videos in future and be one of the first to see the video. Just remember, we only have 2 weeks left to use your offer code for my workshops in March 2018. So if you go to the links below, it'll all be down there, it'll take you to all the workshops, and if you use the offer code HATS10 at checkout, you'll get 10% off all workshops. So now I've done my sort of like promo plug, let's get to this tutorial. So this is a tutorial on basically feather flowers. Now I've never made a feather flower before. I've done dyeing before. I've never used grit dye though, which we're using in this tutorial. I've never really made a feather flower before. I've done a lot of research into how to make, so we're going to be learning together on how to make these flowers that I've made together. Thank you to those of you that have emailed me in the past saying thank you very much, and also thanks to those that give me some not some positive feedback. I do want to just make it known that I'm not a professional at all. This channel is for entertainment purposes. It's not to be used in any educational setting. If you take something from it, then you do. It's just a bit of fun. The way I do things is not always the only way of doing it, it's just a way of doing it. So for those that contact me, they do contact me, saying just move on to another channel. If you don't like what I do, then move on. For those of you, which are majority of you, thanks for sticking with me, thanks for watching all my videos. Make sure you comment down below, make sure you share this video, and make sure you hit that like button to show me some love. So for this tutorial you'll need the following: a packet of loose goose nagori feathers in ivory, some grit dye in lemon, yellow and fuchsia, some flower stamens, some thin jewellery wire, some sprung wire and some Oasis floral spray in fuchsia. The equipment we used for this is a plastic container. We actually used a washing up bowl, a polystyrene block, a glue gun, some plastic gloves and a craft knife and a cutting board. First of all, we need to wash the feathers, so fill the bowl with some warm water and a drop or two of dishwashing liquid and froth this up a little. Immerse the feathers into the water and agitate a little so the dishwashing liquid removes any traces of oils on the feathers. Remove these and rinse the feathers in some clean water. Cover your work surface with a plastic table cover or some old fabric. Wearing rubber gloves, add the powder dye to some water and stir. Then add this to 2 litres of very hot but not boiling water. Immerse the feathers in the dye bath and gently stir the feathers until they are a shade darker than the desired outcome, because the colour appears darker when wet. This could take as little as 2 to 5 minutes to get the colour that you need. Then remove the feathers and rinse carefully in some warm water. Place these in the polystyrene block whilst you dispose of the dye and rinse the bowl. Next you want to do exactly the same process with the fuchsia dye, but this time you want to dip the feathers into the dye altogether by holding the polystyrene block and dipping this in and out of the dye. Once you are happy with the colour, remove the feathers and rinse carefully in warm water. Spread the feathers on some paper towels or the fabric to air dry. Don't attempt to dry these with heat, as this will cause the feathers to become dry and brittle, and to help keep the shape of the feathers, avoid any excessive handling. Once the feathers are fully dried, sort them into piles, and here you can see we've got 3 piles of feathers. The first pile of feathers are feathers which have retained their shape, have a nice dye finish and are a lot more fuller. The second pile are feathers which can be used for fillers, like filler feathers, and the third pile are feathers which have taken the dye a little too much. And don't throw these, because you could always use this third pile in future hats or to make a different flower, but it just doesn't work for this particular flower. Set aside 5 feathers from the first pile, and using a craft knife and a cutting board, cut sections of the feather away on one side of the quill. Hold the ends of the feather down taut with one finger and cut 4 to 5 fronds away, leaving 4 to 5 fronds, and then cut the next 4 to 5 fronds away. Repeat this on the other side, matching up the cutaway sections on the feather. Then, I didn't actually film this due to late night filming and it was dark outside, but once you've cut all 5 feathers, give them a light spray with some Oasis floral spray on both sides of the feather and leave these to dry. Next, take some sprung wire and bend over one end as shown, then place some stamens in the bend and secure these with some thin jewellery wire. Taking the cut feathers that we did earlier, place these at the sides of the stamens and secure each individual feather with some wire as well, making sure each one is placed correctly and it looks nice when you look at it from all angles. And keep wrapping this, you want to do it tight, but not too tight that it cuts into the feather and cuts into the quill, and that will cause the feather to droop. So you want to do it taut, but not fully tight. Then you need to do the same with some feathers from your first pile and place these just under the cut feathers, and that will give it a little bit of support and you'll be able to see the look of the cut feathers a lot more. Turn your flower upside down and using a hot glue gun, and we all know I don't really like using hot glue, but for something like this a hot glue gun is perfect. Place some of the support feathers under the feathers you've just secured with wire. Then place some feathers using this second pile of feathers that we did. You want to place these where you want the bottom row of feathers to sit. Make sure you remove the fluffy bits of the feather before you do this, as it will make your placement easier. And this bit is quite boring, as you'll need to hold the feather in place until it's dried. And don't worry about the big gap, as we will be filling this in with the rest of the feathers from the second pile. Just like we did with the bottom row, fill in the gap with the feathers from the second pile, making sure you remove any fluffy bits from the feathers. You could leave it like it is, but if you wanted a more of a fuller, flowery feather look, then just keep adding more rows of feathers until you get the look that you desire. And then for the second flower, and this is very easy flower to make. Start by making the centre of the flower as before, with the wire and the stamen, and then use the feathers from the first pile. So make sure if you do want to do this, you save, I'd say about 10 to 15 feathers from your first pile. If you're wanting to make these 2 flowers, make sure you save about 15 for the second flower. And what you want to do is you want to cut the quilt around 3 inches from the top of the feather and add a drop of glue to the bottom of the feather and place this on the stamens as shown. Repeat this around the stamens, overlapping the feathers slightly until fully enclosed. Then turn the flower upside down and carry on adding 2 more layers of feathers, overlapping as you're going round, and try to keep the feathers neat but not fully neat, as we're trying to replicate a more realistic looking flower. So there you go, very easy, not actually very hard. Yes, we made, we could have made that bigger flower a lot more fluffier by adding more in, but I was filming at 2 o'clock in the morning, so I actually to sleep now. But it goes to show what you can do, and you've seen some images, and I'll put them here as well. It doesn't look amazing on its own, but put it on a piece, and it makes that piece elevated. So don't worry about when you've made something, it's like, I'm not too sure about this. It will look good once you style it with the right piece, with the right hats. Make sure you follow me on all my social media. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Snapchat, and I'm also on Patreon as well. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next week.